A lot has been happening in the cryptocurrency space, including CCN shutting down, Cboe no longer supporting Bitcoin futures, and India's possible cryptocurrency ban. So I will be talking about all that and technical analysis on Bitcoin so you know how to trade Bitcoin profitably over the next couple of days. Now, before I get into this video, I do want to say that I am not a financial advisor and I recommend you do your own research before entering in any positions. Make sure to like and subscribe on this video in order to stay up to date with cryptocurrency news and finance. Now, let's get to the first article. CCN is shutting down after Google's June 2019 core update. So what happened is every couple of months, Google updates their search engine algorithm and adjusts how websites are ranked. So for many news websites such as ccn.com, they rely heavily on Google's recommendations for their traffic. So after this most recent update, the traffic and rankings for CCN went down quite a bit on Google, which would hurt them a lot over the next couple of days. So they decided to shut down as they don't want to deal with it and they don't want to try to recover their website. Now, I do have conflicted feelings about this because obviously I do feel bad for CCN and I think it's horrible that Google did change their algorithm. However, I also think that websites like this should definitely plan for events like this happening. As shown on this chart, they were very recently at this level of search engine optimization, so I really don't think they should have been so reactive in shutting down. I think maybe they should have been a little bit smarter in terms of budgeting their finances a little bit differently to be prepared for something like this happening, as this really does happen every couple of months on Google. So what do I think this is? I think this is honestly just a publicity stunt. I think they are saying this very reactively. Obviously, everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. But I think this is just maybe an excuse for CCN to get sold to another company, and then they are just going to start it back up. I think there's no way that CCN is just going to be a dead website when there are still so many people that are willing to read it, and when it is still a very, very valuable company. So that is the first thing I wanted to mention, and I also will be talking about more of Google's algorithm and YouTube's algorithm in a future video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Now, the second major article is that Cboe is no longer supporting Bitcoin futures. Now, this is another article that I think can be considered FUD because Cboe is not the only US exchange that supports Bitcoin futures. I need to clarify that because I know a lot of people are going to get confused. There are two American exchanges that support Bitcoin futures, and that is Cboe and CME. So they sound very, very similar, but they are two different exchanges. Cboe was the first exchange to list Bitcoin futures, and they have now decided to stop their futures. And in my opinion, that is mainly because CME has been much more successful than them in their futures volume. So pretty much what happened is after Cboe launched their futures, CME came out with their own futures, and Cboe only got their price information from the Gemini exchange, which is a relatively small exchange compared to exchanges like Binance, BitMEX, and other large cryptocurrency exchanges. So CME came in and they launched their futures based on multiple exchanges' prices averaged together. So CME has much more accurate price information, and so that's why they had higher volume than Cboe, and that's also why I think Cboe has now decided to stop their futures because they know that CME has a better product. So I did want to point that out. And something else that is happening as well is that Bitcoin futures volume has been steadily increasing. Bitcoin futures volume has been increasing now ever since Bitcoin hit its bottom. And so that is still extremely good. And it still shows that there are a lot of people in the institutional space trading Bitcoin at quite high volumes, which is great to see. And I think it rules out a lot of the FUD that could be made from this article. Now, the third story I wanted to talk about is the Reserve Bank of India's cryptocurrency ban. So what is happening in India? So India has been known to try to ban or tax cryptocurrency and sort of cause FUD in the market. There have been 2 times back in 2017 and 2018 where they were trying to heavily tax cryptocurrency, and so they have already been known to do this type of stuff in the past. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to give jail time for cryptocurrency ownership. However, this is only a bill and it has not yet been passed by their lawmakers in India. So what do I think about this? I think it is likely not to pass in India, as there is really no way to control Bitcoin. And even if it does become a law, then I think many of the people in India would probably not respect it and own Bitcoin anyway. So what do I think about India's Bitcoin ban? I think it is complete FUD, and I don't really think it's going to affect the markets that much, whatever happens. However, it's always good to be diligent about this and know what's happening outside of the US, because obviously if they do end up banning it, I still think it would cause a move in the markets. Now let's get to the Bitcoin technical analysis. Now, looking at Bitcoin, we have hit a new high at $9,100 on Coinbase Pro. So Bitcoin has had quite a nice rally, and we did form this very, very nice top. However, we are still currently in an uptrend after forming the most recent lows. In my opinion, this means we are going to form a very, very bullish wedge. However, we have yet to see another high, so it's really hard to try to determine where this wedge is going to head. However, what I am looking for right now is to try to trade this wedge for as long as possible. In my opinion, it would be absolutely great to try to trade something like this. I would definitely be longing right now with a target of around 13% profit, and maybe even close part of my position at 10% right here in case it does stay below this high at 9,000, which I think is also likely. So I would have a long position right now at around $8,600 with a stop loss right above the current uptrend with around 4% loss on the stop loss. So that is what I'd be doing right now. I'd really just try to scalp these trend trades as we stay in this uptrending wedge. And of course, if we end up breaking this wedge downwards, then I think you can also have a very nice short there. However, I think this is very unlikely, and I think we are definitely going to maintain this uptrend at least for the time being and retest the 9,000 level at least 1 or 2 more times before deciding where we are going to go. Now, as I mentioned in earlier videos, I think that this is once again a very, very crucial time for Bitcoin. We've had some very, very big people such as Charlie Lee, one of the people who literally predicted the top of Litecoin, selling his entire stash. As Litecoin hit its absolute top, he predicted the top, and he's saying that if Bitcoin goes above $9,000 or $10,000, then we are going to hit $40,000 by the end of the year. So I'm certainly excited for Bitcoin, and I think that we have a very high chance of breaking upwards above 9,000 and then getting that $40,000 by the end of the year. However, once again, there's a lot of trading that you can still make in the meantime, trading these moves in the wedge and possibly shorting if we do break the uptrend. So those are all things I'd be looking for, and one reason I think it's possible that we could break this uptrend is because of this head and shoulders pattern that we've sort of been forming right here. I think it's a very uncertain time, at least in this little movement that we've been seeing recently for Bitcoin. It's very uncertain whether we're going to bounce up or not because of these large candles that have just been retesting this level around 4 times now. So I would be very careful for a break downwards. However, I would still have a long position right now in case we do get to around $8,600, and then I would go ahead and flip that around and short it until we retest the trend again. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully now you have a plan on how to trade Bitcoin, as well as you are updated on the most important news. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and see you in the next one.